you want to start a company, just try and do this. Otherwise, I know many people who want to start a company and this idea is just with them forever.
Lena built AI long before it was cool, when coding your own neural networks was the only way. Today, she's helping global brands like L'Oréal and Estée Lauder create safer, faster beauty products with AI. And now she's building something that could reshape how startups are born.
You started coding, I would say, AI back in 2003 before Python, before ChatGPT.
In this episode, Lena talks about building AI from scratch, launching the Good Face project, working with top beauty brands, and why the future of entrepreneurship depends on world models, not just large language models.
World models, which is alternative to LLMs. And I think actually that's where the future is for AI. And that's where we're all looking.
Hey everyone, welcome to Brilliance Talks. On today's show, I have Lena, who's built AI before it was much cooler than it is today. Back when you had to literally code your own neural networks. Today, she's helping global brands like L'Oréal and Estée Lauder create safer, faster products with AI. And now she's launching something new that could reshape how businesses are built. Lena, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Simak. Very honored to be on the show.
Thank you. Lena, let's start. You started coding, I would say, AI back in 2003 before Python, before ChatGPT. What did the world look like then?
Well, I did start coding. Literally, I actually started with coding games doing that for fun. And then I moved on to data science, statistics, and that stuff, which might not sound as exciting as AI, but basically it's the where the AI is born. The world was beautiful and full of hope. Yeah, I think at that point, as a humanity, saw AI as a very futuristic technology that will come someday and will do some good or bad stuff. Basically, we were very far away and we were putting a lot of efforts into actually math and figuring out how things can be done. So this is where it was all born. I know it's not so much fun for some people, but that's true.
Yes. And also talk to me about earlier, you were working, was it for the Ukrainian Space Research Institute?
Yes,
and what were you doing out there?
it was very long ago, and at that point we did image recognition. So we did image recognition for pictures made from space, detecting different patterns in canopy, potential biohazards, and actually potential areas of wildfires, which is a big problem now. And I know that some startups are doing this now, so many years after it was already done. So it's very interesting to observe how technology was ahead, but the use cases were not there yet.
Got it. So you went from space, I would say from space to creating shampoo formulas with the Good Face project. Tell me more. What's happening out there?
Grounded. Well, I think that if you look at from the perspective of the product, you will see formulation of a shampoo. But when you look at the formulation of the shampoo from the back door, it actually is all about chemistry, and that's where the interesting stuff lives. So in Good Face projects, the technology is actually not visible. It's running on the background, and it's doing a lot of calculations. It knows over 160 millions of molecules. It knows their structure. It knows how to predict their toxicity, function, or usage in different types of products. And so way before LLMs and all that stuff started exploding into our faces, we had some fun and generated literally hundreds of thousands of viable shampoo formulas to prove that the stains work. And from there, we just used this engine to read documents to understand the properties of ingredients, molecules, and plants, and how to combine them into a product. Eventually, this all added up to a system that is client-facing, customer-facing, and that part is very pretty, it's very easy to use, and their chemists create their formulas literally in seconds instead of spending months on figuring out the regulations and different documents and everything. So it's saving months of work in one click, which is amazing. I think this system is beautiful, and it runs on very, very interesting data that was aggregated and shaped not in LLMs, but in what you now call world models, which is alternative to LLMs. And I think actually that's where the future is for AI, and that's where we're all looking for.
Yes, I mean, this is a little known secret, right? What you all do out there with the Good Face project. You're literally cutting down time. Actually, any SMEs or SMBs can actually come in the beauty sector and actually do that, because you'll also what you'll call it's the platform can predict toxicity, compliance, and also speeds up formulation. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yes.
So talk to me, who are kind of the users of this business, and what's the kind of reach you'll have, whether it's only US or only California? Tell us more. Tell us. I'm curious.
Yes, so the company started its existence over 7 years ago, and our ICP are actually manufacturers, so manufacturers of personal care products. And I would say that they're our most happy customers, but we also have brands and retailers, and it's pretty much agnostic to the size of the company. So it doesn't depend on the size of the company. It doesn't require a lot of customization. From time to time, you need your personal type of report, but then everything else is very much stretched across industry, and anyone can use it and communicate within the platform and figure out regulations, exchange proprietary secret information about formulas within the secure environment. So that is something that makes happy, like literally hundreds of brands and manufacturers. And our first customer was actually Target. So they were our first paying customers. We at that point were in Target Accelerator, and we came there with a different idea. The initial idea was B2C, now it's B2B. So we were not shy to, change the idea, reshape, and adapt. And I think that's something that every startup should be ready to do.
Fantastic. And just for the audience listening in, can you explain what Target is, or who Target is?
Yeah, Target is a very big retailer here in the United States. Very famous.
Yes. Okay. Fantastic. And Jen, talk to me about can a normal small time startup e-commerce, I would say founder trying to get into the beauty business, use your platform, create their own formulas, and then, I don't know, work out with some local manufacturing unit to do it. Is that something as simple as that? Or it's only for the more established players out there?
Definitely, you should know what you're doing, but the
Of
platform
course.
will speed up this process significantly. So yes, if you're a small company and you need to figure out how to manage your products, and you actually want to sell it to some known retailers like Sephora, for example, and you want to export to the United States or to China, despite everything what's going on, it still matters. All those regulations are very hard to manage, and regulatory services were not properly automated until pretty much now. So you would have to hire an expert, spend thousands and thousands and a lot of time figuring out what ingredients are non-compliant, what percentage should go lower, and with what ingredient you should replace something. And that's just so much waste. So that's, of course, that's a smart way to work using a platform like ours.
And talk to me, how did you all actually go about engaging big brands like L'Oréal and Estée Lauder?
That is a very interesting question, because each brand, as big as these companies, they need a special approach, and retailers too. There's a lot of internal groups. You need to communicate with all those groups. You need to be sure that they understand their goals and needs. So it's not just about having a very good product, it's also about figuring out what are the needs of the company and figuring out how you can fit into ecosystem. And that's hard, and that requires a lot of time. So maybe if you're a first-time founder, or you having a startup that's maybe not too big, it will be very hard to work with bigger customers. So just coming from past experience, it requires a lot of time, a lot of patience.
Got it. And you mentioned world models for the listeners out here. explain what are world models and just give us a lowdown of it.
So that is something that right now is developed by multiple researchers in AI, and that is pretty much a requirement for AGI at some point. I'm not sure if I'm very much looking forward to us having AGI. I don't really think it's so much necessary, because at the end of the day, a very targeted and small model would most probably be more efficient. You don't always need a model to solve every problem, but world models are a way of, in a different mathematic approach, describing objects and interactions about of those objects and their qualities, describing them in a mathematical way where you can go from predictability with 99.9 to 100%. And that actually, we went from having 100% probability on some stuff to, yay, LLMs give us those 90% of probability, and we're fine with 10% error, which we call hallucinations. But that's just actually the way the model works. It's the way it's built in the math. From the math perspective, there is like a probability that in every LLM there is a path to all humanity should be destroyed, and it's non-0%. Okay, and I don't think that we should be using that for some things. So world models are a way of rearranging the knowledge in a very structured way, explaining how physical objects work. And how if you have kids and sometimes you tell them you shouldn't be touching hot stuff, right? Do not touch hot pots, right? Well, they still might. Some will listen and some will do this. Typically, they do this once, right? One time is enough, and then they learn, and then they don't question you for a while. But for LLMs to work, they will touch that stove multiple times before they actually trust you. And I don't think it's a right path, right? It's like keep bumping your head into something that should not happen more than once. That's just by the nature of statistics that are underlying LLMs. And world models are a way of going away from that. They will either trust you from the get-go, which, of course, more healthy way, but then they might also do the experiments, see that things are not working, depending on the thing that you're doing, learning versus actually using it.
But just talk to me about, give us a real world use case where, I would say where AI could have made something 10x faster. I think that just get everything home. So in your experience as within the Good Face project from.
So when you create a product, very often there is a disconnect between teams that work in a manufacturer facility or within the brand. What they do is, first of all, they envision what they need to make, what product should be created. Let's say it's a shampoo. And this vision goes to R&D. The R&D will create the formula, and then they will take it to regulatory. And then regulatory will give them feedback and tell them, all good, but you won't be able to sell this. For in those states, in those retailers, you need to replace these ingredients. 6 months of work are gone. You go back to the drawing board. The formula should not be used, and you need to change the ingredients. You might need to change the supplier of your ingredients. And then after you reformulate, here we go again. So that's how it worked. Now, instead of doing this regulatory work after you create the formula, you can do this in one click in the system, and it's done literally in 1 second. And you can check over 120 or more regulations. For a human, this is weeks or months of work, because every ingredient has hundreds of ways of naming it. Almost every ingredient. That's for example, vitamin C, 200 names.
Yes.
And then you need to figure out if this name was mentioned in one of the documents that were an appendix to one of the regulations that were it's insane.
Yes, it is.
I don't know how people do this. Seriously. So yes, that's one of the things that we're solving. And another thing that we can do is, for example, reverse engineering. If you see a formula and you would want to make something like that, you can literally ask AI to figure out what raw materials should I be using, what concentrations to make something like this. And that also is a lot of work. It's like weeks of work to figure out what raw materials you should be using. So, every bit, the AI that we developed is not in our customer's face. It's not a chat where you like think about the question and ask the question. No, it just navigates the flow. It just makes things easier. You don't really even think that there is AI behind that. Things just happen very fast. It's nice.
Yes.
And I actually think that that's the best experience with AI, where natural workflow was
Right.
automated to the extent where things just happen and you just flow with them. You check, you make sure that everything's good, but you don't really spend a lot of time on this.
Got it. Whose brainchild was the Good Face project? Just talk to me about that origin.
There are two co-founders. I'm the technical co-founder. I have a co-founder who was in business. Eventually, like I said, it's evolved. Um, it started with B2C and quite, you can say, controversial B2C, where the initial idea was recommending 5 products to customers and asking them to pay $10 for a recommendation, which is quite questionable business model. And to solve that, we had to know all the ingredients that might go into products, know what ingredients people like or dislike, toxins, carcinogens, mutagens. So, just to solve that problem, you had to amass such a huge amount of data that it's almost impossible to not figure out something different.
And now you're the CTO of Good Face Project. What for? You've been across since the inception. For people listening in, what are kind of the key things that they need to be aware of as startup founders in the tech space, and to make this company a success, or for them? What are kind of things they need to avoid? What are things they need to do right? Just talk to us in the top, maybe the top 2 or top 3 that come to your head.
So just to clarify, I was a CTO for a very long time. At this point, I'm on a new path. Success is a very interesting question. First of all, you need a good idea. You need good people, and then you need to be ready to adapt. Because most probably the idea is wrong. We'll need more different people, and adapting stays.
Lena, for all the young startup founders in the tech space starting up, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you would actually guide them on or recommend that they do and that they avoid when starting up a business?
I would say that they should not be afraid of checking what ideas are viable and what are, maybe not so viable. Don't be afraid to check your competitors, see where where some flows are visible, and you might be actually fixing them. And then do not be afraid to do something that already exists. It doesn't mean that if something exists, it was done in the best way. So if you know how to make it better, maybe this is your path, and this is how you will win eventually if you make such a huge difference. And then also, of course, finding the right team is extremely important. If you have right talents in right positions, I'm pretty sure you will be getting to some very interesting results eventually. So that's, and also in general, looking at everything what's going on, I would say that if you want to start a company, just try and do this. Otherwise, I know many people who want to start a company and this idea is just with them forever. Sometimes they wait for too much, for too long. Eventually, the idea becomes outdated, but it was viable when they were thinking about it. So, go do this.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. I think that's what it's about. And talk to me about one of the things that people I think underestimate is the level of commitment at the time. Typically when they're starting up, how many hours is someone putting in? What do you all have a proper working week? Or it's every day is a working week.
No, there is no such thing as proper working week if you're starting a company. I know that we all, at least majority, would want to have that life work balance. Some people are very comfortable with being 24 in the process. So you just need really to figure out what is your pace
Mhm.
and what is healthy for you, because if it's burning you down and the burnout is real, you will not get the results that you're looking for. And also, you need to take into equation that if you have a family, right? Because, for example, when I started Good Face Projects, my son was around 18 months, and having a little child and running a company and figuring out, and like my daughter was 3. So altogether this creates an environment where there's a lot of pressure. Make sure that you're ready to basically fulfill the commitments.
And Lena, now you mentioned that you have stepped down as a CTO. What's next for you in this interesting journey of yours?
Yeah. So, if you're a one-time entrepreneur, I don't think you can ever really stop being that. So, one way or another, you're always on this path. So, of course, new ideas are, coming to entrepreneurs' brain all the time. And I just see how, in general, the environment that is right now brewing with new technologies, new ideas, is changing. And I see how, on one hand, we have lots of young people in a kind of almost desperate situation where they don't see the future, they don't see what to do. They would want to work or find their purpose. And AI is only making this harder for them because internships are remote. Entry positions are almost like, I wouldn't say they're removed, but the number of those positions is way smaller. And I don't think it will change in a way where it will be easier. So, in my perspective, what we should be looking for is enabling people who never actually used AI. They don't know how to use it. Enabling them with using of best practices, best technologies, figuring out how to become entrepreneurs faster. That's what I'm like figuring out now, because like in general, I just want to fix this problem. I see it's a huge problem. It's not just local to United States. I'm pretty sure it's the same in Great Britain. And you can tell me more about that.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it is a problem everywhere, right? So I think, given the number of businesses, I think there's statistics for 60% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. I think, which is shocking. And I wonder what's the reason for that. But there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the reason? This is the right question. I mean, if you're asking the right questions, you're on the right path. Actually, there is even like this period of a death valley where a startup or a company that just began is very likely to die off within like less than a year from the time when it was started. And that's where most of the business ends. Why? Yep. So figuring out that is something that I'm going to do.
I love it. And is there going to be a book also alongside this exciting project of yours?
Definitely, it's already in progress, and I'm looking forward to actually having an interview with you and seeing your perspective on this.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. That's something we should do. Now, talk to me about being a co founder or founder. I always ask this question to all my guests. What does mental fitness and physical fitness mean to you, and how do you maintain, how do you go about in those two areas?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Basically, if your vessel is empty, you will not pour. Mental and physical states are extremely important. It's not like you can guarantee that you will be always on the same level of energy, and things happen. And it's very important to be in environments where people will support you. If you cannot find support within the nearest people, maybe you should reach out to organizations that help entrepreneurs, who help them with coaching, with emotional stability, just taking that time for yourself, being mindful. Actually, the most successful businesses are born when you're not burned down, when you're in this like nice, good state where you're inspired and you have the energy. Then
Yes.
it just naturally happens. And like you're smiling right now, right? This is very important, like smiling, having fun. If this isn't a part of what you're doing, it's a very good signal. You're doing what
True.
you like, you're on the right path. So until there is a smile or like a real smile, you're in a good path.
Yes, absolutely true. And that's something what we talk about in my coaching business also, about positive psychology, right? When
You
you're positive, you're actually going to be much open to learning, and you learn a lot, and also good creative ideas are born through that. Fantastic. Who forms, what's your kind of top book you'd recommend to startup owners, founders? What's your top business book you've read so far? Listen to.
That's a very interesting question. So I really liked the book, and sorry, I'm very bad with names and titles, but it was a book by creator of Bonobos. It's a brand of pens. I'm not sure if you know this. It was a brand that was launched here in the United States, and it was eventually acquired, I believe, by Walmart. And
Right.
it's actually a psychological book about a burnout of a founder and how you should be avoiding this. Like, what was the path of this founder? And basically, that book allowed me to kind of reflect on different processes that are going in my brain and, avoid burnouts, which I think is very important. So if you're teaching being positive, I know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
not necessarily it's about money. It's actually about your own personal state, I would say.
Got it. Got it. I'll definitely look it up and put it in the show notes after this call. And talk to me, who all form part of your, I think, inner circle, in a group to keep you grounded and where you are today? You know.
So I'm in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And San Diego has a great community for startup founders. It's maybe not so rich visually as San Francisco, which is, the Mecca,
Yes.
Silicon Valley. But San Diego has a very strong community of entrepreneurs, advisors, mentors. Actually, many people from San Francisco move to San Diego.
Right.
And I'd say that just in general, this environment is very healthy here. People run in New York. People do huge deals in San Francisco, and people flourish in San Diego.
Must be something with the weather out there, isn't it?
I believe so. With the
All
weather.
right. So you do have a lot of networks of friends that actually are in a similar journey as yours, and that's what, and those form part of your inner circle.
Yes, yes. People who are on the same journey have seen different stages of this journey. They're great advisors, and I keep finding them. And it's not just local to San Diego, just to be fair. Somehow naturally, this network uncovers more and more gems, and I keep enjoying learning more about the people in surroundings.
Love it. Love it. If you weren't building businesses, what would you be doing today?
I'm pretty sure I would be working in some space research institute.
Interesting. Very nice. Obviously, you've gone from coding neural networks by hand to powering global beauty brands. You've also shown us, where AI is really headed, especially on the world model side of it, and why the next wave of businesses might look nothing like today. Good Face Project, I think, is a fantastic story. It's a little gem which not many people know about it. I think that needs to be pushed out there, and I'm very excited about your new venture and your new book. It was great having you here today, Lena.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
very
for
much.
having me, Sima.
Yes, and thanks everyone for tuning into Brilliance Talks. So please share this with the founder who needs to hear how AI is really changing business in the beauty world, and also stay in touch with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.